Welcome to the Hill Report, a bi-monthly web series documenting the activities of activists and advocates throughout the United States and the world. HEAL stands for Human Earth Animal Liberation, and we will be focusing on people who are standing up and making a difference. On this premiere episode, we will focus on those who are demanding accountability in the troubled teen industry. New Bethany is a reform school located in Arcadia, Louisiana. It was founded and operated by a man named Mac Ford, a former missionary who, according to his deposition, decided to open New Bethany after it was discovered that one of his parishioners had been engaging in incest. Recently, a number of women have come forward accusing Mac Ford of abuse, both violent abuse and sexual abuse. Tara Cummings, a former resident of the home, came to New Bethany when she was 12.
When you have sleepovers, I was young, I wasn't even 13 yet. I think I had just turned 12. So I was the youngest girl there. A lot of the girls were there for drugs, sex, running away, or whatever. But I really hadn't done anything. Well, actually my father had been not arrested, but a child abuse report had been made out on him by the principal of the school that I went to. So as a result of that investigation, he did that. He sent us there to sort of keep the pressure away from him.
Although Tara was spared some of the abuse experienced by others, there was one symptom of living at the home that she was unable to escape.
And every girl there, no matter what age, no matter where they were from, no matter if they were on helper status and therefore not persecuted all the time, or if they were, it didn't matter. Nearly everyone stopped having their periods. They just completely stopped menstruating. And, you know, there are certain things that could lead you for that to happen. That, you know, like stress is or a lot of physical activity. But everyone across the board, and there used to be jokes about them putting things in the food. And as soon as you left, you immediately started having your period again. You know, and I've talked to a couple of doctors, gynecologists about that. It's, you know, what are the hormonal odds that all these girls system would react that way? And it's almost nil. That every person, you know, I was very regular before I went in, and you know, some girls aren't. Everyone's cycles are different. And I'm saying all that to say that it didn't matter what your menstrual story was. You basically all had the same experience. Oh, horrible bathroom conditions. I'm a real, pampery sort of person, you know, and the bathrooms were gross. It was very bleak. It was, you know, even just the construction of the place, is depressing as, you know, the environment. It was very strict. It was very, very strict. Just to use the bathroom, for instance, if you needed to go just urinate, they had a toilet paper girl, and her job was to sit in the hallway, you know, in the middle or at the entrance to the bathroom, and hand out toilet paper, you know, dole it out. So you got 4 if you urinated, you know, 6 if you went beyond that, and then 8 if you had your period. They would actually count it out, and everything was very controlled. You did what they told you. You went to church. Every evening you had some sort of church functions. Basically for 2 years of my life as a young girl, I was in pantyhose every day going to, you know, church. So everything was sort of centered around that. You'd go to school, but the lessons were religious based.
Have there ever been children, to your knowledge, sent to one of these places because they just differed philosophically from their parents? Maybe they were questioning the tenets of Christianity?
Absolutely. That happens. And furthermore, you know, there's foster care. Actually, a lot of the states take their foster children and put them there. Here's a home that says you can't interfere with how we run because there is a separation of church and state. But yet the state's placing these children. into these homes. And you know something, this faith-based funding movement, these homes are popping up more in number. They're not decreasing. You would think that, you know, as time goes by and the reports come out, we become more evolved and hopefully more humane, that these things would decrease. But because of the financial benefits to the faith-based funding movement, they're popping up more and more. There's more of them, not less. Why are the laws set up in such a way that we can have a religious organization take in these children, perform acts on these children, and treat them such a way that any other organization would be shut down? We do not allow foster parents to do what these homes do to these children. We don't allow schools to treat children the way that they're treated there. If we had they don't pay taxes, they're tax exempt organizations, and they're making anywhere from $300 to $1,200 per child per month. They take these girls on trips across state lines, getting them to give testimony, coercing them to give testimony about how God saved their lives. And people just pour the money in. They go to all these fundamentalist churches and get people to pour money in. The girls don't see that. They're still counting toilet paper squares. The girls, their clothes are shabby. Only the girls that travel get any benefit of that money. But it's going right into these principals' pockets. They don't pay a dime in taxes. And they're not even regulated. They don't answer to the law. They answer to the King James Bible.
In time, Tara attempted an escape from New Bethany. Tell me about that, escaping New Bethany.
I was there 1 year. I had just made my 1 year. That was the typical prescribed time that one would stay. And I knew I wasn't going home. I didn't feel like I really had anything to lose. So one day, so as I had told you, I don't know if I told you this before, but the gates were locked all the time. There were fences all around the compound with raised barbed wire.
And the dogs started barking immediately, but they kept them chained behind the founder's fence, MacFord. So we get to the fence and we start climbing. Well, first everybody's like, oh, it's electric, we're going to get shocked. I'm like, they can't afford to keep that on. Well, then you go. So I was like, okay. So I jump up, get over the fence, and put my hand on the top just to brace myself on the barbed wire, and it just threw me. I mean, I just landed like, so it was working. So we eventually just went through where it joined at the corner and climbed that, and just didn't, when we swung over, we used that for a brace and didn't put our feet on or touch the barbed wire. And we just walked and walked and walked and walked on the edge of the woods. And this is a real remote area. It's not like, you know, a Tasty Donuts on the corner or whatever. There's nothing out there. So we just kept walking. We didn't want to get too far in the woods because of the panthers. So this cop car, finally daylight's breaking. And I see a police car go by. And the other girl that was with us, and she was really young too, she just ran out and flagged him down. And so we tried to run, but they caught us, me and the other girl, and took us to the police station.
And then what happened when you got to the police station? Did they take you back to the home or what?
Well, they called our parents first. I was actually kind of scared. I didn't know what was worse, staying there or going home.
Because of the botched escape attempt, Tara was sent to the Rebecca Home for Girls in Corpus Christi, Texas. The Rebecca Home for Girls was founded by Lester Roloff, a pioneer in the troubled teen industry. The Rebecca Home was also the site of a stabbing in which two girls stabbed another inmate of the Rebecca Home in order to get word out about how bad the situation was at the homes. Lester Roloff did not call the police, did not report that incident, and jokingly referred to the girls as his little murderers. The Rebecca Home where two girls tried to stab another girl, or are you aware of that? I know we talked about that the last time, but was that the first time you heard of that when I mentioned it before, or do you know about that?
No, I think I had seen something on the internet a while back, but, you know, he always downplayed. He always made a sort of joke about, oh, those are my, you know, the little murderers joke. The implication being that we take in everyone. He considers himself the religious Statue of Liberty for the Christian movement. Give me your tired, your weary, your murderers,
Tara found the Rebecca home cleaner than New Bethany, but the methods were just as brutal.
It was cleaner. New Bethany was horribly dirty and moldy, a lot of roaches, and it was filthy. Rebecca was cleaner, but the methods were the same. They actually had a lock-up room, a couple of them, where they would lock you in a room for 2 weeks, a mattress on the floor, a sheet on the mattress, no blankets. I don't even know if there were pillows. I don't even think there were pillows. No brushing of teeth for 2 weeks. I wasn't allowed to shower for 2 weeks. They never turned the light off. They had a speaker mounted up at where the ceiling meets the wall, and that speaker played Lester Roloff's preaching 24/7 for 2 weeks.
On our next episode, Tara accompanies a group of women back to Louisiana where they support a victim of New Bethany as she files a police report against Mac Ford. But now a question. If you are a parent who has sent your child to such a facility only to find out that it was a hotbed of abuse, what are your options? Angela Smith, the founder of Heal Online, gives pointers to both victims and parents on how to pursue accountability against an abusive, troubled teen facility.
Their parents are like, I pulled my kid and this place is crap and I'm going to take them, to wherever I need to take them to make sure they pay. Then I'm like, okay, great. We have parents on board. That's a whole different situation. We can, file reports to the proper agencies, contact the Attorney General, contact the licensing boards if they're licensed at all. If they're not licensed, report that they're not licensed. Last year, or the year before, Catherine Freer, which had been running for 20 years in Oregon, was a wilderness program in Oregon. And they had no licensed mental health staff, no licensed proper staff of any kind, but they were calling themselves a therapeutic wilderness program. So what I did is I had checked down all of their licensures and found that none of them were licensed. I contacted the accrediting agency, which was the Joint Commission at the time. I asked them what they do if they normally accredit programs that have no qualified staff or credentialed staff, if that's something common for the Joint Commission to do. I didn't hear anything back from the Joint Commission except for their little, well, we'll look into it, here's the 10 things we might do, which include not doing anything. So I thought, whatever, okay, you guys. But 3 months later, Catherine Freer closed up for good. And I can't help but think maybe it had something to do with looking into whether or not they actually have credentialed staff. So anyway, with parents, if the parents are on board, I say go for it, report. If the parents aren't on board, they can submit statements to us. We can try to get as much information out and look into it, especially if it's a program we don't have information on to begin with. We can definitely help them with the process of starting to expose it if they're underage without parent support. If they have parent support, they can go full throttle against the program. If they're, if they feel like that's what they want to do and they're emotionally secure and ready to do that and they feel good about it, then I think that's totally supported. If they're 18 or older when they contact us, again, I leave it up to them. I say, well, if you want to report, here's how to report and here's who to report to. If you need a lawyer, here's places. You go to any state bar association, they have lists of pro bono attorneys and firms. So if you don't have the money to cover the cost of an attorney, you can go to one of the pro bono firms and see if they can help.
If you have been the victim of the troubled teen industry, or if you're a parent looking into various programs, please take a moment and visit heal-online.org and read more about troubled teen centers in the United States and throughout the world. And please, take a look at our campaign on Teen Liberty. Teen Liberty is the title we have applied to our agenda to expose and close abusive and fraudulent behavior modification programs. Behavior modification programs include but are not limited to therapeutic boarding schools, boot camps, residential treatment centers, wilderness programs, wilderness camps, and faith-based group homes. Most of our chapter coordinators are survivors of the troubled teen industry, and HEAL spends 99% of its expense and its efforts in the Teen Liberty Campaign. Thank you for watching.